Sometimes overhyped singles can underperform and derail entire album rollouts, being left off the project or leading to the album being cancelled. In this video, we'll look at 8 flop singles that were supposed to lead to an album. Super Love by Tinashe. In 2016, Tinashe dropped Super Love with high hopes of finally breaking into the mainstream. The single was a fun radio-friendly track, blending pop and R&B, and was meant to become a smash. The song was pushed as the official lead for her long-awaited sophomore album Joyride, and its Baywatch-inspired music video seemed designed to give her a breakthrough moment. But despite the careful rollout, Super Love underperformed commercially. It peaked at just number 26 on the Billboard Rhythmic chart and never crossed over into the Billboard Hot 100. Streaming numbers were modest, and radio never fully embraced the song, even though it was meant to be a top 40 hit. For fans, it was frustrating because the song had potential, but it didn't get the kind of industry backing needed to break through the noise of 2016 pop radio. The failure of Super Love had ripple effects. Instead of propelling Joyride forward, it became another delay in a string of postponed releases. RCA struggled to figure out how to market Tinashe, forcing her to cycle through other singles like Company and Flame without gaining traction. By the time Joyride finally arrived in 2018, with no drama as the lead single, the momentum had fizzled. Super Love is now remembered as a lost opportunity that could have been a big single and paved the way for a successful album, but that didn't quite happen. Team by Iggy Azalea. In 2016, Iggy Azalea attempted to recapture the massive success she enjoyed with the new classic and her generational hit Fancy. Her comeback single Team was positioned as the lead single for her second studio album Digital Distortion. With its energetic and trendy production, it was supposed to re-establish Iggy as a chart force after a string of controversies did a number on her career. The single even came with a dance-focused music video and heavy online promotion. Despite the hype, Team stumbled almost immediately. It debuted and peaked at number 42 on the Billboard Hot 100, quickly falling off the charts in just 8 weeks. It didn't achieve the kind of radio success our earlier singles had, so it didn't do as well as expected. With lukewarm reception and declining momentum, the song couldn't create excitement for the upcoming album. Within months, Digital Distortion was pushed back repeatedly and eventually cancelled altogether. The flop of Team marked a turning point in Iggy's career. Once seen as a rising hitmaker, she suddenly found herself fighting an uphill battle to stay relevant. Later singles like Mo Bounce and Switch also failed to make an impact, leaving her career stuck in limbo. Although she later rebuilt a fan base with independent releases like In My Defense, the collapse of Team's rollout essentially ended her chance of repeating the massive pop crossover she had in 2014. Bitch Better Have My Money by Rihanna. When Rihanna dropped Bitch Better Have My Money in March 2015, the world expected it to mark the start of her long-awaited follow-up to Unapologetic. The song was aggressive and trap-infused and showed a darker, edgier side of Rihanna. Initially, the song sparked major conversation, debuting at number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100 and peaking at number 15. The bold visuals and Rihanna's performances made it feel like it was going to define the next chapter of her career. However, despite all that hype, the single didn't achieve the chart dominance expected from a Rihanna lead single. Compared to her previous run of smash hits like We Found Love and Diamonds, it underperformed both in sales and radio longevity. Critics were also divided on it, as it didn't have the crossover appeal of her past hits. It led to Rihanna's uncertain era, where she dropped single after single in order to find the sound for her next project. Bitch Better Have My Money was ultimately left off Anti, her 8th studio album, which arrived nearly a year later with a very different sonic direction. Looking back, it feels more like a swing and a miss. It failed to set the stage for Rihanna's next era. Instead, Anti was officially ushered in with work in 2016, proving that sometimes even a superstar can misfire when picking the song to launch an album cycle. Pretty Girls by Britney Spears featuring Iggy Azalea. Britney Spears teamed up with Iggy Azalea for Pretty Girls, a single that was heavily promoted as her big comeback moment in 2015. Released in May of that year, the song was intended to serve as the lead single for Britney's next project, following the lukewarm reception of her 2013 album Britney Jean. With an upbeat production and Iggy riding high of the success of Fancy, the collaboration seemed like a surefire hit on paper. Unfortunately, the single flopped both critically and commercially. Pretty Girls debuted at number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100 and quickly fell off the charts, failing to generate momentum. It was lackluster compared to Britney's iconic pop catalog. Even the music video with its colorful, campy alien invasion concept couldn't save the track. It ended up becoming one of Britney's most forgettable singles of the decade. The failure of Pretty Girls had a lasting impact on Britney's trajectory at the time. Plans for a new album tied to the single were quietly scrapped, and Britney shifted her focus back to her Las Vegas residency instead of pushing forward with a full album cycle. While she would eventually return with 2016's Glory, the weak performance of Pretty Girls as the start of an era shows what happens when timing and execution don't line up. I Don't by Mariah Carey featuring YG. When Mariah Carey teamed up with rapper YG for I Don't in 2017, fans believed it was meant to be the beginning of a new era. Coming off her 2014 album Me and Mariah, the elusive chanteuse, which had underperformed, expectations were high that Mariah would bounce back with a strong lead single. I Don't was positioned as a bold breakup anthem, inspired by her very public split from her billionaire fiancé. With modern trap-infused production and YG's feature, the single was intended to appeal to a younger audience. Unfortunately, the song struggled to gain traction. It debuted at number 89 on the Billboard Hot 100 and quickly disappeared, failing to make much of an impact. Even its flashy music video, where Mariah dramatically sets a wedding dress on fire, couldn't salvage the rollout. Fans were confused by the lack of a clear promotional campaign, and radio stations barely gave it spins. Instead of becoming the beginning of a new studio album, I Don't ended up being a standalone release that flopped. The underperformance of the single ultimately stalled the momentum for Mariah's next project. While she would go on to release Caution in 2018, which was critically acclaimed, the lackluster performance of I Don't made it clear that the excitement in her comeback wasn't fully there at the time. It showed the challenges veteran artists face when trying to adapt to current trends. Whatever You Like by Nicole Scherzinger featuring T.I. In 2007, Nicole Scherzinger was poised to become the next major pop star after her success as the lead singer of the Pussycat Dolls. Her debut solo album, Her Name Is Nicole, was heavily anticipated, with industry insiders betting that she would seamlessly transition into solo superstardom. The album's lead single, Whatever You Like, featuring T.I., was meant to solidify her presence as a hitmaker outside of the group. Produced by Polo the Don, it has that R&B hip-hop sound that dominated the mid-2000s. On paper, it seemed like a guaranteed success, but the reality was far from that. Whatever You Like failed to connect, peaking only at number 57 on the Billboard Hot 100 and receiving lukewarm reviews. The collaboration with T.I. made sense at the time, but didn't add much spark, and the music video came off more generic than groundbreaking. The disappointing reception was a huge red flag for the album rollout, casting doubt on Nicole's ability to carry a solo era. The flop of the single proved disastrous for Her Name Is Nicole. A string of follow-up singles including Baby Love and Pwa Kenny Kenny also failed to make an impact, ultimately leading to the album being scrapped altogether. Instead of a star-making moment, the song became an example of how the wrong lead single choice can derail an entire career trajectory. Nicole would eventually refocus on TV opportunities and later come back with her next solo project, but her solo stardom never reached the heights once expected, all starting with a failed attempt at a blockbuster debut. Real and True by Future, Miley Cyrus and Mr. Hudson. When Real and True dropped in late 2013, it had all the makings of a massive hit. Future was in the middle of breaking through into the mainstream. Miley was riding high off the massive success of Bangers, and Mr. Hudson added an unexpected pop touch. The song was positioned as the lead single for Future's second studio album, Honest, with hopes that the ballad would highlight his versatility and crossover potential. It was set up as a centerpiece. Unfortunately, Real and True didn't connect. Listeners at the time were not ready for Future's pop sound. The flop forced Future to pivot in a different direction, leaning back to his trap roots, with stronger singles like Move That Dope and the title track, kicking off the Honest era. In hindsight, Real and True feels like an experiment that didn't land. What was supposed to be a mainstream smash ended up being forgotten. Fair by Normani. After the explosive success of Motivation in 2019 and her collaborations on hits like Love Lies and Dancing with a Stranger, Normani's solo career had sky-high expectations, as eagerly awaited her debut album, and in 2022, she finally returned with Fair, a deeply vulnerable ballad that stripped away the flashy choreography and focused on her voice. The single was framed as a personal reset, a more mature introduction to the artist Normani wanted to be, but instead of cementing her as pop's next leading star, Fair quickly fizzled. The song failed to chart on the Billboard Hot 100 and couldn't launch her debut album era. The lack of a strong promotional push and limited radio play meant that the song disappeared almost as quickly as it arrived. This underperformance stalled Normani's longer-awaited album plans even further, leading to frustration within her fanbase, who had been waiting years for a full project. Instead of launching a new era, Fair became another example of her mishandled rollout, as it didn't even make it to her album tracklist. Her debut album Dopamine finally came out in 2024 and flopped, debuting at number 91 on the Billboard 200. Which flop singles that were supposed to lead to an album did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.